was quite a snowy day here in Washington, a little more snow than we expected. But President Trump received a very warm welcome at the Kennedy Center, where the FIFA World Cup draw was held. And with the throngs of celebs, politicians, everyday soccer fans present, the president was in his element. Now, I was lucky enough to be there to watch it all unfold, and I came away with one overriding conclusion. As big as soccer is worldwide, and it's big, I actually think Trump's bigger. Because when he walked out to the red carpet into the main hall, it was more like he was parting the Red Sea. The crowd went crazy. And when it came time to select the teams for the main draw, well, Trump played right along.
President Trump, up to you. Don't forget to mingle, to mix.
I think I know what this is going to be now.
Everything.
But let's see.
Are you sure? Are you sure this is the ball? You can still change it if you want.
Does he know something that I don't know? Let's give it a shot.
Let's give it a shot. Let's give it a shot. I agree. Okay.
This is shocking.
United States of America.
Who would have guessed it? Now, the president was the best type of hometown host because he was gracious, he was welcoming, and some of the recent unpleasantness with Scheinbaum and Carney seemed to fade into the glow of the FIFA trophy there.
If I may take a selfie with the three of you. Come. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Now, as a Kennedy Center board member, I was really happy not only to see the president having fun and being celebrated, he was honored, actually, with the first FIFA Peace Award. And they had this lead-up video, which was incredibly well-produced. And even I had forgotten how many wars, how many conflicts Donald Trump has helped end. And I've decided, by the way, as a side note, that FIFA's president, Giannini Infantino, is my new favorite human.
This is your Peace Prize. There is also a beautiful medal for you that you can wear everywhere you want to go.
I'm going to wear it right now.
Okay, let me hold. Fantastic.
Yeah, he wore it for the rest of the day, I think. And the president, as we know, grew up in a different era, but he knows, what, 1 billion people, I guess, are going to be watching the World Cup, and hundreds of millions were watching the draw. So he had a lot of fun.
When you look at what has happened to football in the United States, again, soccer in the United States, we seem to never call it that because we have a little bit of a conflict with another thing that's called football. But when you think about it, shouldn't it really be called? I mean, this is football. There's no question about it. We have to come up with another name for this. It really doesn't make sense when you think about it.
When I walked out of there today, I thought two things. First, how do I get World Cup tickets? It's going to be really fun. Two, well, with such a big year coming up, thank God Kamala's not president.
Fox News alert, the January 6th pipe bomb suspect just made his first court appearance. Sources tell Fox he'd been talking to investigators before the hearing and admitted to planning the bombs. He appeared in court unshackled, dressed in a tan jumpsuit. His family was cheering him on. "We love you, Brian. We're here for you, baby." Cole lived with his mom at her house in Virginia, just 20 miles from Washington. Neighbors knew him as the guy that walked his Chihuahua. Apparently, he'd wear shorts all year round, even in the dead of winter. His grandmother calls him very naive and almost autistic-like, saying he wouldn't hurt a fly. But the FBI says otherwise. Apparently, all evidence points to Cole. Cole's cell phone pinged in the area around the RNC and DNC on January 5th, 2021. And his red Toyota was placed a half a mile from the bombs. So they triangulated his cell phone, pulled some credit card statements, and ran his plates. That's Detective 101 work. Joe Biden's FBI had 4 years to figure that out. And Chris Wray told Bret Baier how hard they tried.
I have enormous confidence in the team, the dedicated team that is focused exclusively on that investigation. And we have devoted loads and loads of effort into that specific investigation. And those folks, those FBI agents, analysts, and professional staff, I have total confidence in them.
Biden's FBI made excuse after excuse.
In prior COVID times, in any neighborhood, I think, in the country, if you saw an individual hooded, masked, glasses, gloves on, it would have been a red flag for any individual walking around that day. In this case, it wasn't, because of the environment that we're living in during COVID times.
The feds traveled across the country to catch every grandmother who walked through the Capitol on January 6th, but couldn't find someone in Virginia. One of the lead investigators in Biden's FBI said they couldn't track his phone because the service provider gave them corrupt data. But if the cell data was corrupt, how'd Trump's FBI use it to catch the guy? So 5,000 agents, 4 years, and no one investigated the guy with the bombs. But Trump's team cracked it in less than a year. Bondi said all it took was some elbow grease.
Let me be clear. There was no new tip. There was no new witness. Just good, diligent police work and prosecutorial work, working as a team, along with ATF, Capitol Police, Metropolitan Police Department, and of course, the FBI.
Not only did the Biden FBI botch the case, it doesn't even really look like they investigated it. Remember, Wray dragged his feet before releasing the video.
Will you commit to releasing the full tapes to the public immediately?
No, sir, I can't make that commitment.
Congress needs to subpoena Chris Wray and make him testify under oath immediately about what did and didn't happen. But for Democrats, obviously it's all Trump's fault.
Looking at this crowd doing a victory lap when all the senior FBI officials across all key divisions have been fired for political purposes. It's a little rich that they're saying America's safer. How much earlier could we have caught this guy if resources hadn't been diverted?
If resources hadn't been diverted to locking up 80-year-old women who knit sweaters for a living. Yeah, Biden could have caught this guy earlier. It kind of feels like the media is still working with Biden officials on the case. Because first Jake Tapper says the bomber's white, and now he's MAGA.
This suspect has essentially confessed to planting the bombs, and he's told FBI agents that he is a supporter of Donald Trump.
You can't trust Agent Delanian. He was the deep state's go-to guy on the Russia hoax and the Hunter Biden laptop. In fact, you can't believe anything the media says about this case. They said the feds wouldn't catch him because he was Caucasian.
When you consider how black criminals and Muslim terrorists are treated, both by the legal system and by the media, and yet the January 6th pipe bomber who laid explosives in front of the RNC and DNC headquarters still walks free, we still don't take domestic terrorism of the far-right white variety seriously in this country, do we?
Pretty sure this guy's black. And now they're saying Cole was trying to stop the steal.
In part, we are told that he had accepted the political view of the time in 2020 that the 2020 election had been stolen. That's a view that President Trump has falsely pushed for a number of years.
Okay, the guy began building the bombs in 2019. He bought most of the supplies before the election was stolen. We don't know if this guy was righty, lefty, upside downy, but Judge Jeanine Pirro says he was disappointed in various aspects of the election, but it's not clear whether he supported Trump or Biden. This guy was an equal opportunity bomber, planting bombs at both the RNC and the DNC. And this is interesting. His father retained Ben Crump, otherwise known as Al Sharpton 2.0, when he filed a racial discrimination lawsuit. The dad ran a bail bonds company for illegals and sued the Trump administration, claiming DHS was screwing him out of money. Now, that lawyer is repping his son, and he doesn't even practice criminal law, which is probably why the kid confessed. Great lawyer. Something tells me this guy's a little. His grandma called him autistic. He wears shorts in the dead of winter, works part-time for his dad. The bombs didn't even work. And he kept his cell phone on him the whole night. And not only that, he bought all the bomb parts on a credit card. He even waved to a cop car the night he planted the bombs. Sounds like the dumbest bomber in America. and Biden's FBI couldn't even catch him. The whole thing stinks. This was a huge case that went unsolved for years. Kamala Harris could have been killed before she was even sworn in. A black guy almost killed the first black vice president outside of the Democrat National Committee. And the case collected dust? And why wasn't Kamala Harris knocking heads together at the Bureau? Hey, guys, you ever find the guy that tried to bomb me to bits? Thanks to Trump's FBI, we finally have something. But the fact that it took so long makes me really wonder about who the heck this guy is. We still don't even know if he acted alone.
Welcome to Hannity. And tonight, Democrats, they hate Donald Trump so much they are now sympathizing with narco-terrorists and Zoran Marxist Kami Mamdani. He is now working to ensure the return of homeless tent cities in New York City. I'm sure that's going to work out great. And a major ICE operation in Minnesota just rounded up some of the, quote, worst of the worst criminal illegals in this country. But we begin this Friday night with the story of the week. After less than a year, using evidence that the FBI had for 4 years, Trump's FBI, Trump's DOJ, was able to arrest a man suspected of planting those pipe bombs in Washington, D.C., just prior to January 6, 2021. Now, this was an extremely high-profile case, but for some reason, in the 4 years, Biden's DOJ, they couldn't locate a suspect. The question we're asking tonight is why? Why didn't they apprehend Brian Cole Jr.? Now, according to the FBI, and we had Dan Bongino on last night, he was in the process of creating bombs since 2019 and continued to buy bomb-making materials after January 6, 2021. But as one savvy ex-account pointed out, as the investigation was unfolding at Biden's DOJ, this was the narrative on MSDNC and across the state-run legacy media mob. You decide. Take a look.
Jelani, you're a black man. I'm a Muslim. When you consider how black criminals and Muslim terrorists are treated, both by the legal system and by the media, and yet the January 6th pipe bomber who laid explosives in front of the RNC and DNC headquarters still walks free. We just learned today that then Vice President-elect Harris was inside the DNC when the bomb was found there. We still don't take domestic terrorism of the far-right white variety seriously in this country, do we?
No, we don't.
Okay, does that make sense to you? Not me. Anyway, you're probably not shocked, but after getting it dead wrong again and again and again for the millionth time, the legacy media mob has still not corrected course. They haven't learned any lessons. You know, the latest hoax about Pete Hegseth, debunked. Now this hoax, debunked. And as we speak, they're desperately trying to make a connection between Brian Cole Jr. and President Trump, some even suggesting that Cole is a right-wing 2020 election denier, even though he started buying bomb parts in 2019. And then there's Fake Jake over at Fake News, CNN, exactly where he belongs, who gleefully referred to Brian Cole Jr. as a white man. You decide. Take a look.
Brian Cole Jr., a 30-year-old white man from the D.C. suburbs, is charged with transporting an explosive device in interstate commerce and with malicious destruction by means of explosions.
So like CNN, you know, ignore all the fires behind me in a city burning to the ground. These are mostly peaceful protesters. I don't know, Fake Jake. I think maybe you got it wrong yet again. It's incredible. Another self-described journalist who believes so deeply in his own virtue could get so many important stories dead wrong, like Joe Biden's cognitive decline, then write a book on it. Now, speaking of Democrats who are often wrong but never in doubt, Congressman Dan Goldman joined Circleback Jen Psaki on MSDNC to commemorate the arrest of Brian Cole Jr. by trashing the people that got the job done. The FBI director, Kash Patel, they almost seemed annoyed that the pipe bomb suspect was even arrested. Take a look.
Do you have any belief or view that there was anything mishandled by the Biden administration while this investigation was ongoing?
I don't even think their allegations are anything was mishandled. It's just the unfortunate reality is that this Department of Justice cannot help but make everything political. It's terrific if they got the pipe bomber. Excellent investigative work. They should be proud of that. But why does it have anything to do with Joe Biden? Why is everything chest thumping and this and that and that? Just do your job. They're so focused on the politics of everything. They're not focused on the safety and security of the American people. And that is what is missing. That's what we're losing through this dreadful FBI.
No question about it.
Biden's FBI, Biden's DOJ failed. It was, let's see, Kash Patel, Pam Bondi, Dan Bongino. They got the job done. Per usual, Dan Goldman is spewing utter nonsense. Federal arrests, look at this. They're up a whopping 86%. Violent crime down to one of the lowest rates in modern American history. It is amazing what can actually be done when you purge bureaucrats who politicize and weaponize justice. They spend an awful lot of time, money, energy, resources going after Donald Trump and people around him. And by the way, let the FBI, let their agents do their jobs, investigate crimes, arrest criminals, and you get justice for the people in this country and for victims. The pipe bomb case is only the latest example of this new dedication to law and order, safety, security, and justice in America. The FBI set out to solve this case. Dan Bongino said it last night. No uncertain terms. They did it. They deserve credit. No politics, no hidden agenda, just a commitment to the truth, the safety of each and every American.
So this week, the FBI finally arrested the Jan 6th pipe bomb suspect who left 2 bombs outside the DNC and RNC headquarters the day before. He's 30-year-old Brian Cole Jr. of Virginia. Let's go to Jake Tapper for the lowdown.
Brian Cole Jr., a 30-year-old white man from the D.C. suburbs. We do have new photographs, as you saw during that presentation from Brian, new photographs of the suspect.
Well, that's a shade of white I've never seen before. Maybe he borrowed some shoe polish from Jimmy Kimmel. Anyway, it took the Trump White House no time to get the guy after 4 years of the Biden White House going nowhere. Well, nowhere except through Melania Trump's underwear drawer. So why so long? Well, here's FBI Director Kash Patel breaking it down for the second best-looking man at Fox, Trace Gallagher.
The prior administration sat on the evidence for 4 years. There wasn't any production of new evidence from 5 years ago. We looked at 3 million lines of evidence. We went back and looked at the cell phone tower data dumps. We went back and looked at the providers and what information they provided pursuant to search warrants at the time and asked questions such as why weren't all the phone numbers scrubbed and why weren't they connected and why wasn't there any geolocational data done? Now, that is either sheer incompetence or complete intentional negligence, and neither of which is acceptable for this FBI.
So that's the difference, looking at data dumps instead of the dumps Biden left around the White House. So now they got the guy. The only mystery is why the Biden administration seemed less interested in this than Lindsey Graham is at Hooters. So why did Trump do the job that Biden didn't? Don't say it's because Biden's brain dead. He proved that brain-dead people can still investigate Catholics, parents from school board meetings, and spend months trying to track down and arrest grannies. And while cell phone tower data was part of how they busted Cole, the Biden White House used similar data to track down hundreds of Jan 6 Trump supporters for other crimes. So it's more than just being brain-dead. Although Democrat Senator Mark Warner, whose brain is so dead doctors keep trying to harvest his kidneys, he still blames the Trump White House.
Looking at this crowd doing a victory lap when all the senior FBI officials across all key divisions have been fired for political purposes. It's a little rich that they're saying the America is safer. How much earlier could we have caught this guy if resources hadn't been diverted?
Resources hadn't been diverted, pal. They weren't the ones busy chasing down anyone who might have tried on a MAGA hat in the last 10 years. If this guy was any more of a douchebag, Tim Walz would put him in a boy's bathroom. But Warner's just covering for his team. And why? Well, Cole's arrest would have destroyed the narrative that Jan 6 was a white supremacist movement. Remember, here's what Biden and his cronies in Congress had to say about that.
In the violent, deadly insurrection on the Capitol 9 months ago, it was about white supremacy in my opinion.
They started conducting an investigation, that left one team to cover the Capitol complex. So in other words, if those pipe bombs were intended to be a diversion, plainly speaking, it worked.
I know that the Department of Homeland Security had identified domestic violent extremism, violent white supremacy as the #1 terror threat in the country. But were they just overwhelmed and stunned at the complexity and magnitude of the attack?
Thank you, sir. I would venture to say yes.
So imagine saying that, and it turns out the bomber's black. There goes your narrative, crumbling like the powder I put in Brit Hume's drink. Instead of this being a story of white supremacy, it's yet another story of a nutbag. And now the press claims that the motive could be that the bomber thought the 2020 election was rigged. Yet he started collecting supplies for the bombs a year prior. Cole also worked for his dad's bail bonds business, which specialized in freeing illegals from ICE. And they sued Trump's DHS over its deportation policies. Still under Biden, the case was collecting dust, much like Biden himself. But under Trump, the case is revived. The perp ID'd and the FBI tracks him down. Sounds familiar. The left said we can't stop illegal immigration, and Trump fixed that in a weekend. Makes you wonder about all the other messes the Dems left behind when they were in charge. Well, I guess we don't have to wonder. We're watching the Trump crew do the cleanup right before our eyes.
Thank you. Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.